Fact that the first change that takes place is in your mind. You have to change your mind before you change the way you live and the way you move. So when we said that the revolution will not be televised, we were saying that that the thing that's going to change people is something that no one will ever be able to capture on film.
The dark side of being positive. Over the past few years, probably in the last 10 years, we noticed a wave of new information coming into the world, especially mainstream news. It's the idea behind positivity and how important positivity is in someone's life. Now, this used to be a thing of just, hey, it's the right attitude to have. Nowadays, you realize that in spirituality, we have laws that work within this universe that show us that having a positive attitude is not only beneficial in a mental space, but in a legitimate space, because that mental attitude allows us to manifest and attract things that we want into our lives. It's become so mainstream and so popular. We see it plastered all over. Positive vibes only, positive vibes only. You know, we see these things all the time. And I love that. I love seeing that. But the problem is when a lot of these things get put into the mainstream psyche, it's very watered down, because the people that take it, they think they know what it means. So they take what they perceive to be truthful and run with it and give it off to the masses, or they take what is true and give a misguided representation of it in order for the masses not to empower themselves. Positivity is greatly misinformed. First, we have to understand that this idea of positivity sets an unrealistic standard, not only for you, but for all of us. You got to understand that positivity is great, but if you're manufacturing this emotion out of nowhere, you are creating a level of commitment that's not attainable. You can't expect yourself to be positive all the time, because some things would genuinely bother you. Now, some people might think that when they see people who preach this message, they live in a constant state of positivity, if not almost 100% state of positivity. But that is very, very wrong. You see, on social media, YouTube included, I get to choose what I post about myself. So if I post once a month, right, and I'm posting my highlights of this month, I'm posting maybe a couple hours of my day. I'm not posting the other 30 to 31 days of lowlights. But because I post every month and it's consistent, you think my life is going great. That's a misinterpretation right there. And diving deeper into that, you realize that it goes against the laws of the universe. In Hermetic philosophy, there's the law of polarity. It states that everything is dual, everything has poles. There's a north pole, there's a south pole, east, west. There's always two sides, but they're part of the same coin. If you have a positive day or you have a positive attitude, this can only exist if a negative attitude also exists. If you try to be positive all the time, you're creating an unrealistic balance. You're creating an unrealistic view of what life is actually like. And what it does is it sets you up for almost a disorder, because now you're moving so up and down throughout your day and throughout time that you get so high, you get so low that you can only wait until that high comes back up. You almost become a addict of some sort. It's the same way somebody may have a eating disorder where they get so happy to see the scale lose that they'll do anything that makes that happen, even to the point of making themselves throw up just to get rid of those couple extra pounds. Let's look at it from this perspective. When the sun goes down, do you cry and are you afraid that it will never come back up? Or do you recognize that the moon has to be out right now and the sun will come back tomorrow morning? You just realize that you understand and you accept the law of polarity. You understand that there's two sides of the same coin. The same thing goes with positivity. How am I going to expect for the sun to be out all the fucking time? That's not possible. If there's going to be good, there's going to be bad. If there's going to be night, there's going to be day. If there's going to be yin, there's going to be yang. It's just the duality. It's just the balance. It's what makes us physical, because for something to start, it has to end. And that's why a lot of people give the concept of God being always here, because if it never started, it can never end. When you go up and down like this all the time, you experience extreme highs, but you also experience extreme lows. And this tempo of wavering emotions is not healthy, which is why I suggest that you go in the middle and you balance yourself out. Just like I said before, you don't waver when the sun goes down and you don't waver when the moon goes down, because you know they both come back. You need to have the same mentality for your life. I can be generally positive, but if I experience something that I don't like, I'm not going to be mad about it, and I'm not going to downplay or get mad at myself for experiencing this. I'm a human being, and I'm meant to experience the duality and the polarity of this world. I'm going to allow myself to feel these emotions because it's healthy. It allows me to be a human being. Because if I deny this negativity, I'm denying a part of my existence. And to deny a part of my existence is to deny my existence in itself. Being in this middle, never being too high or too low, creates a level of discipline. If you can become unreactive to no matter what the world shows you, it's a prime example of how you truly feel about your life, but more so, it's a true sign of how you feel about yourself. If you're in alignment with yourself, what does that mean? You're also in alignment with the universe. And it allows you to be in this limbo area, which is the middle, so that's the funny part. It allows you to be in this limbo area where you're not detached, but you still would like to experience things just for the experience alone. You see, when we want a lot of things, we want these things to usually make ourselves feel better. We think that if we have this, we'll feel different about ourselves. When in actuality, we never wanted the thing in itself, we wanted the feeling. So therefore, if you stay in that middle ground, you tell the universe clear as day, I want this. But if you don't give it to me, that's okay. That's what being in the middle does. It helps you manifest even stronger. It helps you manifest even greater. Another point I want to emphasize is that when you don't allow yourself to feel the negativity and you create this uncharacteristic level of positive attitude where it almost becomes toxic, you are deeply repressing your emotions. One thing I like to say is that if you're not expressing, you're repressing. Now, this doesn't mean you have to babble and let the whole world know your problems, but you should find constructive ways to release this energy. And sometimes the best way is to not run away from it. It's just to feel it in the moment. When you allow yourself to feel these negative emotions and truly bring awareness to it, you find that they dissipate rather very fast. Because when you bring awareness to it, you actually minimize how fearful and how powerful it is. If you saw a bully, or even better, if you saw, let's just say, a serial killer. If you see all these people get murdered by this serial killer, you'd be frightened. You'd be like, oh shit, what the fuck am I gonna do? But imagine you attack it. You try to stand up to it. And let's just say you hit it with a sharp object. As soon as you hit it with the sharp object, you see that it starts to bleed. And it starts to bleed a lot. What does that signal to you? Oh, it's not as scary as I thought. The reason it's not as scary is because you realize the weakness in it. But a lot of the fear was simply because you didn't think you could face it head on. Because you thought that facing it head on led to premature death. The fear came from what will happen if you don't survive. But when you face it head to head and you do live, you live to fight and you live to see another day, you realize that the threat was all in my head. So it's important to express these emotions and not repress them, because the repressing of these emotions is the root cause to anybody having any type of hysteria in their mental health. If you are repressing your emotions, you're going to find yourself in some type of turmoil in the future, whether it be now, tomorrow, or even 10 years later, because they have to manifest. They have to express themselves. And if you don't address them right now, they can express themselves in a way that you don't want to face when it finally decides to show its ugly head. So what's my answer to this? I say be optimistic opposed to positive. Positive to me is more of an emotion, and optimistic is more of a state of mind. A state of mind requires discipline, it requires focus, and requires awareness. Emotion can bring you up very high, but it's a shot of adrenaline, it's a shot of caffeine. It will wear off. A state of mind can wear off, but it takes more time to let it dissipate than the emotion. The emotion can turn you on super fast and bring you back super slow. And now the mindset might take a while to establish, but once you get it going, it's very hard for you to break it. So you realize that when you have a mental state of optimism, you believe that the world works for you and you're not working for the world. You believe that things will happen for me for the better, even if I don't recognize it just now, because I know that the universe is all loving and all powerful. I know that God is all loving and all powerful, and I know that I'm blessed in the time period and in the location that I am at right now. So I'm not saying to shoot positivity all the way, but I'm saying just allow yourself to feel negative sometimes. Allow yourself to feel normal sometimes. Allow yourself to feel human. And once you feel human, you realize that, oh, this is just a part of life. And it's not as scary as I thought.
I'd like to make you stay. I'd like to make you stay. I'd like, if you don't know.